So I hope that you've had the opportunity to go out stargazing. As you've gone and looked up at the stars, maybe you've had the experience of trying to connect the dots and draw shapes and see what things you can see. Well, we're not the first people to do this. People have been doing this for as long as there have been people. So we have these shapes and patterns that we see in the stars. Some of them are actually ancient in origin. And so, as an example, here is one common thing that maybe you've seen before. This is the Orion, the Great Hunter. Now, often in popular culture, when we talk about a constellation, we kind of think of the pattern of the stars. And now, in modern astronomy, that is not what a constellation is. Instead, a constellation is a region of sky that contains those pattern of stars. So here we have the pattern of stars that most people recognize as Orion, but to a modern astronomer, Orion is actually this box that contains those pattern of stars. So a constellation is actually a region of sky. Now, the reason why we do this in modern astronomy is to help us talk and communicate with each other. So as an example, if I'm talking to a colleague and she tells me she's studying a galaxy in Orion, that doesn't mean that one of these bright things is actually a galaxy. Instead, it means that somewhere inside of this box there is a galaxy, and that's what she is studying. Now, this is going to tell me all sorts of stuff. I know what region of sky she's talking about. I know what time of year it's going to be visible, and all of these other things all come just by telling me that she is studying a galaxy within the constellation of Orion. Now, to date, there are 88 constellations. So we split up the sky into these 88 different regions. Now, although some of these sound really weird, some of them you're probably already familiar with. For example, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpius. These ones that are in bold, kind of through here in this diagram, this is an all-sky view with all of the constellations. These ones are the zodiac. The zodiac are the constellations that the sun travels throughout the year. We'll talk about exactly why that happens in a little bit. So the sun doesn't actually stay in the same constellation, it travels throughout. Now, often when we talk about zodiac, you may be thinking of your zodiac sign. The way that your sign is determined is by which constellation the sun was in on the day you were born, if you were born 2,000 years ago. The constellations and the sun actually change throughout time, and most horoscope diagram things haven't been updated in around 2,000 years. So, yeah, take that for what it is. Okay, but these are, the zodiac are the constellations that the sun travels throughout the year. I actually really like this chapter 2, because a lot of it is the astronomy that you can actually do just by paying attention, going out and looking up and seeing how it is that things are changing. One of the things that you've probably noticed without really noticing is that we have a cycle of day and night. So as we look at the Earth from space, we see that half of the Earth is actually lit by sunlight. This side that is facing towards the sun, that is in sunlight, this is what we refer to as day. The side that is facing away from the sun, that is in the shadow, this is what we refer to as night. Now, the Earth is actually spinning from west to east. Now, if you think about from our point of view, the sun actually rises in the east and sets in the west. But that's because of how the Earth is spinning. The Earth is spinning west to east. So from our point of view, being stuck on the surface, it appears that the sun is rising in the east and setting in the west. Now, this daily motion of this stuff in the sky, this is what we refer to as the diurnal motion, the daily motion of things. So this means that new constellations rise in the east, and other constellations are going to rotate and set in the west. So to help kind of give you a feel for this, we've got this nice diagram. So here we're looking at a point in California at 8 p.m. on some particular day. On this day, the constellation Cygnus is directly overhead at 8 p.m. Now, something I want to point out, this is technically not the constellation. Remember, constellation is the box that contains the stars. This is what we refer to as the asterism. This is the connect the dots of the pattern within the constellation. So here we have Cygnus directly overhead at 8 p.m. However, over time, the Earth rotates. So from the point of view of people in California, what used to be directly overhead, Cygnus, is now going to be close to the horizon, getting close to setting, and the constellation Andromeda is now directly overhead. So because of the rotation of the Earth, we see this daily change in the stars and sun. All right, here is our first lecture quiz question. Why do the sun, moon, and stars arc across the sky from east to west? A, they orbit the Earth traveling east to west. B, the Earth spins from west to east. Or C, the Earth orbits the sun from east to west. So make a note of what you believe the correct answer is, and we'll discuss in just a bit. All right, so why do the sun, moon, and stars arc across the sky from east to west? The correct answer is B. The Earth spins from west to east. So make a note of what the correct answer is. You will answer this on the lecture quiz, which is going to appear after this set of lecture videos. Now, not only do we see a change in what we see throughout the night because of the rotation of the Earth, we also have a change in what we see in the night sky because of the revolution of the Earth around the sun. In other words, how the Earth is orbiting. So the Earth orbits around the sun. Now, you may have noticed you don't really see stars during the day. In fact, you see exactly one star during the day, that's the sun. But because of how bright the sun is, it actually causes the entire sky to glow bright enough that we don't really see any other stars, just the sun. So we have to wait until nighttime. But because the Earth is going around the sun, which constellations are up at the same time as the sun is going to change, meaning we're going to see different patterns of stars at night depending on time of year, depending on where the Earth is in its orbit around the sun. So as an example here, we have July. During July, the constellation Cygnus is up in the middle of the night. It is opposite the sun, so we're going to easily see it in summertime. Cygnus is a summer constellation. However, during the same time of year, as we look towards the constellation Perseus, Perseus is going to be up at the same time as the sun, so we're not going to see the stars in Perseus. However, a few months later, going from July to November, now Perseus is going to be up at night, and Cygnus is going to be up during the day. So we can see Perseus is at night during November. It is a fall constellation, and we no longer see Cygnus at night because of how the Earth has moved around the sun.